What's going on, guys? Nick here with Seku Technologies, and I'd like to welcome you to your first WordPress tutorial. A reason why I wanted to do a class on WordPress is because I've gotten a lot of questions about how WordPress works and exactly what WordPress is. As you all may know, WordPress is one of the main ways that individuals are getting websites up and running, and I feel like it's a great tool to learn. It has a huge monetary benefit if you understand how to create themes, if you understand how to create plugins, or if you just want to keep it at the bare minimum. You can create websites for different companies and small businesses. However, before we get to that point, we have to learn about the basics. So today we're specifically going to learn how websites work. We're going to learn about the back end of websites, how to get a domain up and running, and some of the more important components of being able to create a website. Thing number 2 that we're going to learn today is what the heck is a content management system? You might have heard of this before, you might not have, but content management systems are key to websites nowadays. Content management systems make it very easy for websites to get online, up, and running. So before we actually dive into WordPress, I'm going to teach you the background of how websites work and also content management systems. Then last but not least, we're going to come together and we're going to create our first WordPress website. So you might be asking yourself, well, Nick, that sounds great. This sounds like it's going to be a wonderful class. But is coding involved? And if so, do I need to understand how to code to create a WordPress website? I'm going to tell you right here, right now, firsthand, that there is absolutely no coding involved to create a WordPress website. Now, even though you can use HTML, PHP, and CSS to create a WordPress website, you're not going to need it today. So if you're a front-end user who just wants to get a website online, up and running, you've come to the right place. However, if you're one of the more adventurous individuals and you want to learn about the back end of WordPress websites, then you've also come to the right place, because I'm going to offer a class on that a little bit later on down the road. But let's start really high level and then begin to work our ways a little bit deeper into these WordPress websites. So without further ado, let's go on ahead and get started. How websites work. There are actually 4 parts to every single website. I don't care what anybody tells you, just remember these 4 main parts. They will make your life so much easier in the long run. Part number 1 is going to be your domain. Every single website has its own domain. I'm going to explain domains a little bit later, but just know that you need one if you're going to get a website up and running. Thing number 2 is going to be what's called a DNS, a domain name server. You can kind of think about one of these as being a phone book for your domain, or phone book for your website rather. And this too I'm going to explain a little bit later down the road. Thing number 3 is going to be what's called a web server. Probably the most foundational piece of being able to get your website online and running. And thing number 4, last but not least, is going to be your web browser. Everybody has heard of one. If you're watching this video right now, you're probably using one. Domains. Now, when you connect to the web, you do so via an internet service provider. And an internet service provider is nothing more but a company that provides you with internet service. They cost a lot of money. Why? I do not know, because most of the information being offered online is free, but companies love to make money. These are going to be your AT&Ts, your Verizons, your Grande Communications if you live down in Texas, and your Time Warners. All of these individuals provide us with internet service for us to get on the World Wide Web. You type in a domain name or a web address into your browser to visit a particular site. So your domain is going to specifically be the name of your website. It's going to be the Google.coms, it's going to be the NBA.coms and the Amazon.coms. It's going to be similar to a telephone number per se. All domains are unique. You will never find two domains that are alike. There's one google.com and there's one nba.com. No two companies, well, I guess two companies can theoretically share a domain, but why the heck would you want to? It's your own company, it's your own website. Get your own name. There are tons of names out there. There are tons of options out there. And as I said, in the next video, that's going to be where I actually take you through the process of purchasing a domain. But for right now, all you need to know is what a domain is. Thing number two is what's called a DNS, a domain name system. Your computer then contacts the network after you purchase the domain. It's going to contact the network of servers called the domain name system, which finds the IP address associated with your domain name. So we can kind of think about this in the perspective of people. We're all our own individuals. All of us are unique in our own ways. However, each of us can share a particular name. My name is Nicholas Poole. Your name might be Sally Mae. If your name is Sally Mae, I really hate your name. Just gonna let you know right now. But each individual in the United States has their own name. Matching with their name is something that makes them unique called the social security number. You will never find two individuals that share the exact same social security number ever. If you have the same social as somebody else, chances are somebody's trying to take over your identity, and it's not going to be a good look for you later on down the road. However, we can think about domains in the exact same regard. You have a domain name, and that particular domain name matches up with what's called an IP address, a 12-digit number that identifies your particular domain name. And every single domain has one. Google has its own, Amazon has its own, and NBA.com has its own. As you can see, these are my favorite websites. Now, digging a little bit deeper. From there, it goes out to the web server. A web server is a computer that is constantly connected to the web and is set up especially to send web pages to users. So whenever you go to your web browser and you type in www.google.com, your browser shoots a signal to the DNS. It finds the IP address that's attached with that particular domain, and then it finds that particular location on what's called a web server. Your web server is what hosts your website. It has all of the pictures, it has all of the files, everything that you see within your web browser at this point in time actually is located on a web browser, which is hosted by HostGator. But we'll get into that a little bit later also. That web server is going to send that website back to your web browser, and it's going to make the website available to you. Pretty cool, huh? The unique number, as I just said, that the DNS server returns to your computer allows your browser to contact the web server that hosts the website that you requested. And if all of this sounds like hieroglyphics right now, I promise in a little bit it's going to make so much more sense. But remember, we got to learn the nitty gritty before we get to the pretty. That was lame. Thing number 4 is going to be what's called the web browser. Do I even have to explain what this is? You're using a web browser right now. There are 3 main web browsers: Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox. Get one of them and use it if you don't. My favorite is probably Mozilla. Chrome is falling off nowadays. So, where the heck do we get a domain? Where am I able to purchase the name of my own website? Sounds kind of dumb, right? Because you physically have to purchase a name for your website from somebody that doesn't even own the name of your website in the first place. But there are a couple of places in which we can do this. Number 1 is going to be HostGator. Number 2 is going to be GoDaddy. Number 3 is going to be DreamHost, etc., etc. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. All of these particular companies have those web servers, and they allow us to purchase domains from them and also host our websites. So without further ado, we're going to go on ahead and get started and figure out how to purchase a domain. However, this video is getting kind of large right now, and I'd rather keep the video small. So go on ahead and hop over to the next video so we can go on ahead and get started with that. Peace out. See you guys later. Bye.